Well, hello, my friend. It's so good to have you here. I want you to think about something for a moment. Have you ever been in a conversation with your spouse, or maybe your adult child, and you think it's going just fine, and then, out of nowhere, it's like a cloud rolls in? The tone changes, the warmth vanishes, and you find yourself in the middle of a full-blown argument? And you're left sitting there, thinking, what on earth just happened? How did we get from talking about the grocery list to this? It's a lonely feeling, isn't it? That confusion, that frustration. You had something you wanted to say, a feeling you wanted to share, and instead of being heard, you've hit a wall. Maybe it ends with someone slamming a door, or worse, with that heavy, painful silence that can hang in the air for days. If you've ever experienced that, please know you are not alone. Not at all. In fact, it's one of the most common frustrations we face in our later years, when our relationships are so precious and we have so much history, and sometimes, so many old wounds, with the people we love most. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. We're going to gently unpack the 4 biggest communication mistakes that turn simple discussions into painful arguments. And more importantly, I'm going to walk you through, step by gentle step, exactly how to fix each one. This isn't about learning to be a slick debater or a therapist. This is about rediscovering the simple, heartfelt connection that gets buried under years of habit and misunderstanding. It's about replacing frustration with understanding and conflict with a little more peace. So, let's begin with the first mistake, and in my experience, this is the one that causes more misunderstandings than any other. I call it listening to respond instead of listening to understand. What does that mean? Well, let me paint a picture I bet you'll recognize. Your son is telling you about a problem he's having at work. And while he's talking, are you truly taking in his words, his feelings, his experience? Or is a part of your mind already busy formulating your response? You're getting ready to give advice, to tell a story about how you handled something similar back in your day, or maybe to correct something he's saying. We've all done it. We think we're listening, but we're really just waiting for our turn to talk. The problem is, the person speaking can feel that. They can sense you're not fully present. They feel rushed, or worse, dismissed. So what do? They either shut down, or they start talking louder and more forcefully, trying to break through. And just like that, a simple sharing of a problem becomes a tense exchange. So, how do we fix this? The fix is deceptively simple, but it requires a conscious shift. The next time someone is speaking to you, I want you to try this. I want you to make it your only goal to truly understand what they are feeling and what they are trying to say. Don't think about your answer. Just listen. And when they pause, before you jump in with your own thoughts, I want you to ask a gentle question. Something like, so, it sounds like that made you feel really frustrated, is that right? Or let me see if I understand, you're worried about what might happen next. This does something magical. It shows the other person that you are truly with them. It validates their experience. It tells them, you matter to me. Your feelings matter to me. And when people feel heard, their defenses come down. The emotional temperature of the conversation drops. Suddenly, you're not adversaries, you're on the same side, trying to understand a problem together. This single shift, from listening to respond to listening to understand, can transform the atmosphere in your home. Now, the second mistake often follows right on the heels of the first. This one is about what happens when we feel we're not being heard ourselves. It's called letting your emotions do the driving. As we get older, we like to think we've mastered our emotions. But the truth is, when it comes to family, we can be just as vulnerable as we were at 20. A sideways comment from our daughter about our driving, or our husband forgetting to do that one small thing we asked, it can trigger a surge of feeling, of hurt, of fear, of not being valued. And in that heated moment, we often let that emotion take the wheel. We react. We snap. We say the thing we'll regret an hour later. It's like we're a car, and our emotion has slammed its foot on the accelerator, speeding us straight into a collision. The other person, of course, slams on their own brakes or hits their own accelerator, and boom. The fix for this is to learn how to gently press the pause button. You have to learn to insert a space, just a brief moment, between the feeling and your reaction. This isn't about suppressing your feelings. Your feelings are always valid. It's about choosing how you express them. So, the next time you feel that hot surge of anger or that cold sting of hurt, I want you to give yourself a gift. The gift of a pause. You can simply say, I need a moment to think about that, or I'm feeling a little upset right now. Can we please take a breath and come back to this in 5 minutes? Then, walk away. Get a glass of water. Look out the window. Breathe. In that space, ask yourself, what is the real feeling underneath my anger? Almost always, anger is a secondary emotion. Underneath it is usually hurt, or fear, or sadness. What am I really afraid of here? What part of me feels hurt? When you can identify that core feeling, you can communicate from a much more vulnerable, and therefore, more powerful place. Instead of yelling, you never listen to me, you can say, when you do that, it makes me feel like my opinions don't matter, and that hurts. Do you feel the difference? The first is an attack. The second is an invitation to understand your heart. It's the difference between starting a war and offering a key to peace. These first two mistakes are really about our internal state, how we listen and how we manage our own reactions. They lay the groundwork for everything else. In our next part, we'll look at two more mistakes that often play out in the words we choose to say, and I think you'll find them just as revealing. So, we've been talking about the inner work of communication, how we listen and how we manage our own emotional reactions. That inner work is the foundation. It's what allows us to then choose our words more wisely, which is where we so often get into trouble. Because the words we use, they can either be bridges, or they can be bricks in a wall. This brings us to our third common mistake, and this is a subtle one that creeps into so many of our conversations, especially with our adult children. I call it using you statements instead of I statements. Now, what is a you statement? It's any sentence that starts with you and is followed by an accusation or a judgment. You never call me. You always leave a mess when you visit. You shouldn't feel that way. You're just like your father. Now, in our minds, we're just stating a fact. We're expressing our frustration. But to the person hearing it, it feels like an attack. It's a finger pointed directly at them. And what is the natural human response to an attack? To defend yourself. To put your guard up. To fight back. So, when we say, you never call, our child hears, I am a bad son/daughter. Their defense might be, I'm incredibly busy. You have no idea the pressure I'm under. And the conversation immediately becomes a battle of who is right and who is wrong. We're no longer talking about connection, we're talking about blame. The fix for this is so simple and so powerful that it can feel like a superpower once you start using it. It's the humble I statement. An I statement simply frames the issue from your perspective, your feelings, and your needs. It has three parts. When a specific situation happens, I feel your emotion because I need your underlying need. Let's transform that you never called example. Instead, you could say, when a few weeks go by and I don't hear your voice, I start to feel a little lonely and out of touch. I just miss talking with you and hearing what's going on in your life. Do you feel the monumental shift in that? There is no blame. There is no accusation. There is only a vulnerable, honest sharing of your own heart. You are not attacking them, you are inviting them in. You're giving them a chance to be your hero, to fulfill your need for connection, rather than making them feel like a villain who has failed you. It's almost impossible to fight back against someone who is saying, I feel lonely and I miss you. It opens the door for them to say, oh, Mom, I miss you too. I'm sorry, let's talk more often. It transforms a potential argument into a moment of connection. Now, the fourth mistake is one that we often fall into with the very best of intentions. We think we're helping. We think we're fixing. But what we're really doing is shutting down the very person we love. This mistake is jumping to solutions instead of offering empathy. This one is especially common for us, isn't it? We've lived long lives. We've solved 1,000 problems. We've raised families, managed careers, navigated crises. So when our loved one comes to us with a problem, our instinct is to roll up our sleeves and fix it. Our daughter is stressed about her finances, and we immediately launch into a lecture about budgeting and start listing off things she should cut back on. Our friend is worried about a health scare, and we bombard them with articles we read online and advice about doctors. But here's the painful truth: most of the time, people don't come to us for a solution. They come to us for connection. They come to be heard, to be understood, to feel that they are not alone in their struggle. When we immediately jump to giving advice and solutions, what we are unconsciously saying is, "I'm uncomfortable with your negative feeling, so let's fix it quickly so we can move on to something more pleasant." Or, "Your problem is so simple, I can solve it in 30 seconds. It can feel dismissive, even if that is the farthest thing from our intention. The fix here is to learn the beautiful, healing art of sitting with someone in their discomfort. It's to offer a listening heart before you offer a solving head. The next time someone shares a problem with you, I want you to try this. Before you offer a single piece of advice, offer empathy. Simply reflect back what they are feeling. You can say things like, "That sounds so difficult. I can hear how worried you are." Or, "Oh, my dear, that must be so frustrating for you." Or even just, "I am so sorry you're going through this. Tell me more." Just sit with them in it for a little while. Let there be a silence after they speak. Often, that silent companionship is more powerful than any words. You will be amazed at what happens. Very often, after they feel truly heard and validated, they will themselves say, "So, what do you think I should do?" And then, and only then, is the door open for you to gently offer your wisdom and experience. You've earned the right to be heard because you first proved you could listen. These last two mistakes are all about the words we choose and the posture we take. Moving from you to I, and from solving to understanding. When we combine these with the inner work we discussed earlier, we start to see a whole new way of being with our loved ones begin to emerge. We've covered so much ground together, you and I. We started by looking inward, at how we listen and how we manage our own emotional reactions. And then we looked outward, at the very words we choose to use. We've talked about moving from listening to respond, to listening to understand. We've talked about pausing before we let our emotions take the wheel. We've explored the power of I statements over you statements, and the importance of offering empathy before we ever offer a solution. Now, I want to bring it all together by talking about the spirit behind all of this. You see, all these fixes, these techniques, they aren't just tricks to win an argument. They are practices that flow from a single, powerful intention. And that intention is to protect and nurture the connection you have with the people you love. Think of your relationship like a beautiful, delicate houseplant. Arguments, harsh words, dismissive reactions, those are like pouring salt on the roots. They wither the plant. But listening, empathy, I statements, and emotional pauses, those are like sunlight and fresh water. They nourish the plant. They help it grow stronger, more resilient, more beautiful with each passing season. Every single interaction you have is either nourishing the connection, or it's depleting it. The goal of all this isn't to never have a disagreement. Disagreements are normal and healthy. The goal is to learn how to navigate those disagreements in a way that, at the end of it, the connection isn't damaged. It might even be a little stronger, because you've navigated a storm together and found your way back to each other. So, as we finish up, I want to leave you with one final thought. This is a journey, not a destination. You will not be perfect at this. I am not perfect at this. There will be days when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you'll fall right back into that old habit of snapping or lecturing. And on those days, I want you to be gentle with yourself. This isn't about perfection. It's about direction. It's about the slow, steady, beautiful work of turning your heart more and more toward the people you love. Start small. Maybe this week, you just focus on one thing. Maybe you decide that your only goal for the week is to practice that pause when you feel upset. Or maybe you decide you're going to try using one I statement with your spouse. Just one. Small, consistent steps. They build up. They create new pathways, not just in your mind, but in the very fabric of your relationships. I truly believe that it is never, ever too late to learn a new way of loving. It is never too late to heal an old pattern. It is never too late to speak the language of the heart more fluently. The fact that you are here, listening to this, tells me that your heart is open. That you care deeply. And that is the most important ingredient of all. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I would be truly honored to hear from you in the comments below. What was the one insight that resonated most with you? Or maybe you have a story of your own to share. I read every single message, and it means the world to me to connect with you. If this conversation has brought you any value, any sense of hope or practical help, please do like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps me reach more wonderful people like you. From my heart to yours, I wish you calm, warmth, and genuine connection in your family. May your home be filled with the peace that comes from truly understanding and being understood. Take care, my friend.